Hey, this is Mike Gingrich with another Alive with Mike. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. And want to cover a number of things today to keep you up to date. Want to talk about a important Apple iOS update that is going to be rolling out soon, related to driver's licenses. And second, I want to talk about apps. And do you need an app in the App Store? And third, then, is talk about the, again, ongoing importance of an up-to-date website and what that can do for you. Okay, so those are going to be the key points today to cover. And we did launch two new sites here recently, actually three. But I talk about two of them in the blog post there. So, AK Industries, another manufacturer of in the wastewater industry, is rolled out as a new site. And again, with mobile friendly details that are important, back end features for their distributor network. And then, as I talked about recently, Technical Services launched a new site. They do, some technical manufacturing for companies, followed by Starlight Industries, which is kind of interesting. Not microscope, telescopes, and all those kind of features that you need to look at the stars. Okay, and Starlight Industries launched a new e-commerce site. You can read about a bunch of those on the Digital Hill blog. Go to digitalhill.com, select resources, or just go to /blog, and you'll get there. But let's talk about first this Apple iOS update. I think it is now 6 states that Apple has partnered with, and that numbers just continue to grow right away, as you're going to see this for a new feature is going to be rolling out in their latest iOS, that's going to be coming here in later September. They always roll out a new update for the devices, and that is driver's licenses on your iPhone. Okay, they partner with a number of states because obviously a state has to say this is valid and this works, and there are let's see, I can't from memory name all of the states, but I know Georgia is one of those because Delta is based in Georgia, and this kind of really has to do with TSA requirements. So at the airport, that type of thing. So what you're going to be able to do is with this new feature is go in and scan front and back of your driver's license, and then just like facial ID, for facial recognition, it's going to do a scan, and then so all of that is digitally saved, and then that is made available to the TSA. So if you're going through an airport to get on a flight, you would no longer need to carry that driver's license with your real ID kind of thing, because this would work. You would go up there, you would scan your phone, and then that triggers, hey, it's this person. Reach out to the Apple system there and retrieve that, for TSA, pulls that down, verifies, that's who you are, and voila. So this is going to be important. You're going to see this, coming a lot, to move away from the cards, to move away from all that, carrying that physical thing and just needing to have your phone with you, which we typically always do. And it's going to make those, things on the back of the phone where you can put in your credit cards or IDs more obsolete there. So again, rolling out in September. First off is 6 states, and largely with TSA to begin with. But again, we expect to see that to expand to law enforcement so that it'll work, God forbid that you would get pulled over for speeding or something, that you'd be able to do that. And then we're expecting to see that start rolling out to a lot of different states. So that's a key feature that's coming out. And it's a new update, which kind of takes me into my second update, which is, does your business need a app in the Android and iOS store? Okay, so a lot of businesses say, hey, think about an app. There are considerations just like this, because if there's a new iOS update that rolls out, then your app basically has to update to meet any new changes that fit within that iOS, and they're going to roll them out because that's for security, for enhancements, those type of things. So um, an app compared to a website is more complex because you're going to need to oftentimes do some things differently. Now, depending on how the route you go, there's all kinds of ways that you can develop these because the iOS language and store has a separate set of requirements and coding protocols than the Android store for Google. There are some tools and systems which can simplify that so that you can kind of have maybe one code base that then works to deploy to both. So, but there are complications that can be had with that, limitations that can be had with that. So there's more cost involved just because you're building something that then that build has to fit within these systems, which push to their stores and meet their protocols. They're going to evaluate those independently. So you might get approved by Google, you might not be approved by Apple. You have to keep doing some revisions and some revisions. Okay. And that's going to, that's your cost. It's going to, be important for you to budget for those type of things, budget for ongoing updates and, submitting that app to that app store, has costs involved with that. So the bottom line is, do you need an app? You need to be prepared for the costs of an app. Now, there are ways that you can kind of do some things. A PWA is called a progressive web app, which is basically a fancy way of saying that it can take a website and do some modifications to it. Progressive website, okay, app, and allow it to go into at least a Google store at this point in time. So there are some things evolving there. But just so you know, you can't say, "Hey, we got a website, let's make an app." No, it's a whole different animal, and many times that things have to be done a lot differently, and there are far and away just more costs involved with the app stores because you have to adhere to Apple's environment and their costs, Google's environment, their costs, and any changes that they roll out. They're going to roll out changes multiple times a year that will require your app to update. So those are important factors to consider, and those are some of the key things that I wanted to cover today. So again, recap: Apple's rolling out this driver's license uh, scanning so that your ID, your driver's license, can be in your iPhone. That's going to come out with the latest iOS version. Is that iOS 15, I think? And that's going to roll out later September 1st. All if it's only good in 6 states to begin with. See that expanding. Second, does your business need an app? Maybe, maybe not. If you have to think about it, there are multiple factors to consider. So we always recommend saying, let's discuss it first before you say, hey, we need an app. Because there are different levels, different protocols, different ways that you would go about developing that. And it's going to ultimately cost more than website ongoing maintenance because there are more ongoing things that have to be done to keep it up to date in the app store. It's definitely not once and done. And it doesn't have automatic updates like a website can, and those types of pieces. So you have to think about those things, but it can be of value, and there are ways to do it. But it involves a discussion to talk about what you need, what the features are, what the options are on that. So those are some of the innovations in the digital world that I wanted to talk about today. Again, things are changing; they're moving online, and we're here to help. We've got a ton of web software out there for businesses to be able to give customers and B2B, B2C networks, tools, features, things that they need to be able to shop, do business online, make it easy, make it frictionless. Got to cut down on the friction. The more stopping points there are, the more people are going to get stopped. So you want to smooth things out and take away as much friction as possible. That takes some evaluation and a conversation that we can do with your team. All right, this was Mike, live from Mike this week. We'll see you again next time. Take care.